Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Consumer Hardware is Easy. Today I'm going to show you how I have been using Claude Code and Nano Banana to develop a landing page to acquire emails before starting a Kickstarter campaign. Because as some of you may already know, if you directly post a new project on Kickstarter, it's very unlikely to be a success. You need to first acquire a community interested into the product, and then once you have a big enough community, you're gonna post the project on Kickstarter, where they are waiting for it, and they will be the first supporters of the project, and then the snowball will be growing. But you need to start from something. So let me show you this. And but maybe just before I start, because it's the first episode, I can say a few words about why I'm starting this channel. Basically, my idea here is to pass a message that yes, AI is eating the world. Yes, AI is eating jobs, but AI is also providing creators like us an amazing power to design, develop, and put on the market things like never before, with almost no capital. So my idea here is to show you how I use AI in my everyday business life to be able to do that. So let's get started. So we are going to use Claude Code. This is what I use to run, all my businesses at the moment, and Nano Banana for image generation. So the most important thing when you start something with Claude Code is to gather the right context, content, assets to build what you want to build. So here, what I provided is simply three pieces of assets. The first one was a link to the Shopify page that we built a few weeks ago to make our beta testers pay to test the product. So it had some images, it has some text, it had a few how it works, steps, text specs, and all. So very useful information. The second piece of content I provide is the brand guidelines. I actually created them with Claude Code. Um, and that will be very useful to make sure that the new landing page respects the guidelines. And finally, a few days ago, I have been working on a project for a press kit, a press release, and of course, it has up-to-date information, all the wording that we want to use. So I figured it would be very useful for Claude Code to develop the landing page. So now I can show you. What I did was simply to provide the free links to those files, and then to ask to create a landing page in the context of this Kickstarter campaign, that is to acquire emails. And I think an important detail is that I ask to first study the best practices when it comes to building a landing page in such a scenario, and not to generate one project, but to create five different concepts that I can choose from. So this is very useful because usually I always do like that, and there is always a couple that I like. Sometimes none of them, and I ask to create five more. And but so this is a very useful trick. And that's kind of pretty much it. A few of the details, but it kind of did the job. And so it was on Friday when I started. So we are launching, revealing the product on Monday. So it was kind of last minute, but with Cloud Code, last minute becomes totally feasible. And this is what the first version was. So it was showing me the five, different variations. This one was not too bad, very classy and all, but not really aligned with the brand so much. I really love the retro and arcade version. So it was using our pixel, branding. It was really using our colors as well. It was very playful, a little bit, vintage. So I really like this style. And so, of course, no bullshit like you can hear in many places. It didn't do all the job. I had to chat with it about a couple of hours, but most of the time it was just like a few minutes of feedback and then 10 minutes waiting for it to iterate. So I was doing other stuff. And after 2 hours, I obtained this version here. Let me show you. So yeah, 2 days ago, it's here. So, up, let's see. Yeah, so I got this version. So as you can see, it's much better. This is where I asked to add the animation. And this is very interesting with, pre-AI tools. I would never have been able in maybe 2-3 minutes to create an animation like that, which is, I think, really cool to be able to get an idea of, how the product looks in 3D very quickly. So it integrated really well the images, all the branding is correctly applied and everything is well animated. It's working, and the form is working well. The backend is working as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I was like, okay, I think it's ready to be shared with my business partner Victor. So I shared it with Victor on Slack, and a little while later, he replied with some feedback, and this is where I can show you how it's interesting to, add Slack to your Claude Code, because then all I had to do, so I replied saying what I think I will integrate, what I think, we need to do a little bit differently or something. And then all I had to do was to provide Claude Code with the link to the thread and ask to implement the feedback. One interesting trick here is that Victor was actually asking me to add more photos of the product in different contexts. But I don't have those photos because I'm not gonna do a photo shoot, a few hours before the deadline to launch this landing page. So I'm going to use AI and Nano Banana specifically to generate those images, just like I use Nano Banana to generate those as well. But because I want to do the two in parallel, I'm telling Claude to integrate the feedback and to put placeholders for the new photos that I will provide later. And so Nano Banana is working, and at the same time, I I am using Nano Banana to, generate the images. And so I'm asking, okay, create an image showing the product inside a car as a swinging pendant. Hop. I obtained this one. So was my first iteration, was very happy. I copy pasted in Claude, and then I asked to create one inside a pocket in the jacket. I think the first iteration was bad, but I did another one, and I was happy with the result, and just copy pasted in Claude. And so I got my final result, which is now published. And so as you can see, the feedback that Victor provided about having new images is integrated here. It also modified a little bit the discount copywriting here and a few other edits that he asked me to. And so now it's all ready. All I have to do is to change the domain name here to put keep.lovebox.love, and here we go, and we'll see how it goes. Well, I think that's all for today. I hope it can help future creators here, and see you next time.